Hello, we have a fifth line day. We're looking through the lines of gate 38, the gate of the fighter, the gate of opposition. And here in the fifth line, we have alienation. The 39-5, the polarity on the other side, is projected on that they are provocative. And so they are basically left alone. The same thing is true when you come to this fifth line, which is appropriately named alienation. Remember that the fifth line is how the public or the outside world sees the hexagram. So the outside world sees the 38 as an alienated being, somebody who is fighting in their own world, somebody who is really not connected to the rest because they seem to be caught up in some kind of struggle about something. This energy is seen as an alienating energy by the outside. The lifetime learning is a stage in opposition when one is totally isolated. This is the universalization of the pressure to be individually intuitive. And it is absolutely perfect because the individual is always at their best when they are isolated within the aloneness of their own being, because they have to resolve everything in life within their own context. They're individual. They are equipped for this process. In the exaltation, the ambition and concentration to endure, the energy to stubbornly fight alone. And they will. And don't get in their way. The secret for any fifth line is to recognize that there will be a moment of crisis. There will be a moment when their individualism is of enormous value. However, they're always going to be the subject of projection on their individualism. These can be very tough folk. You project on them that they can fight, and there they are. They are always ready for the struggle. It gets projected on them all the time. So they are deeply trained in life for what the struggle can be. And they can fight alone. This is their magic. They do not need to have others with them in their struggle, and their struggle can actually be of value to others. They're often groundbreakers because they're given the opportunity to struggle for what is really of value. They can get to be the people who first discover the value of something because they are given that opportunity. In the detriment, alienation experiences painful confinement that by its very nature blinds one to the possibility that there are those at some point who may come to one's aid. The energy for stubbornness is so strong that it's difficult to recognize that there are others who can help in times of struggle. Have you noticed how often that phrase, in times of struggle, comes up in either the exaltation or the detriment? It says really that struggle isn't an ongoing 24-hour-a-day thing. It's in times of struggle. So these fifth lines in the detriment, there are pure individuals and you can see that they're stuck in the quicksand and you know that they can't get themselves out. And you're standing there with your hand out and you're saying to them, come on, let me help you. And they're saying, go away. I can do this on my own, as they sink deeper and deeper in. And when it gets to just above their chin and they're about to die, then maybe they will let you help them. They will let you pull them out. They can be very interesting beings. It's about alienation with that underlying theme of stubbornness, even in its detriment, where there is always this possibility that there may be someone else. It's got to be there. Always. There's the 28th at the other end. But even so, there is the sense that they are alone. Always alone. The difference is that what all individuals have to live out in their process is they have to go through the binary of what aloneness is. The binary of aloneness for the individual is that half the time, oh, it's so delicious, and half the time it's not. And this is what lies in alienation. So the exalted is saying, it's great to fight alone. I only have to deal with my own resources, with my own process, with what's of value to me. I don't have to concern myself with anybody else. And the other side is saying, I have to fight alone. Isn't it awful? Nobody will help me. Nobody cares about my struggle. Nobody empowers me. They always have this feeling that they have to do it alone. And it's true. You have to do it alone. Somebody can help you get to the door, but you have to go through the door on your own. And the 38 always needs that doorway of the 28. It cannot be fulfilled by itself. The 38 is only a pressure. Remember that how the lines manifest is entirely dependent on the whole design. You cannot really take the meaning of any of these lines in isolation and project on them until you see directly the context to that whole design. Because how they will come out and how they will actually operate, it makes a difference. If you have the 38-5 with no outlet for it, you will feel alienated within yourself because it's so difficult to bring it out. So again, all of these lines have to be seen in the context of the whole design. The grounding, we know, is coming from 39, the gate of provocation. In the 5th line, it's called single-mindedness. These are our individuals. They follow their own rules. And this is the general. They can follow their own rules. And if they can bring something practical when they're given control, then they can change the rules to suit themselves. After all, they're a mutative force. So when the 5th line is called to fight or to struggle or provoke, they can step in and do what needs to be done. But they can only do it in their own way. Mercury moved into gate 11 at 2:24 this morning. This is the abstract collective gate of ideas, the gate of peace up in the Ajna. Experiences that have been made sense of and can now be shared with the collective through ideas, as long as there's a gate 56, which there is because Mars is in gate 56 right now. So we have the channel here for the next 4 days. This is the channel of curiosity, the design of the searcher. Ideas can be shared with the collective through the throat gate 56, which has the voice, I believe. And Venus moved into gate 55 at 6:13 today. This is the solar plexus gate of abundance and spirit. And it is meeting the earth in gate 39. So we have a channel. And this is the channel of emoting, a design of moodiness. This is the channel that has one lesson to learn in life. Accept the highs as well as the lows, and then you will experience the freedom you seek. This is individuality. There can be tremendous pressure to emote. There can be melancholy, and the wave can be low, and that can be really tough. And the wave can be high, and the melancholy could pass, and we find that there's a huge amount of creativity available. Because we've got the double kind of whammy here of the melancholy and the wave, taking on the information that this is chemistry is really valuable here. It doesn't need to be justified. It doesn't need to be explained away. It is what it is. And when we feel low in our wave, then it's just weather, and we can accept that. And I've noticed in my own process as I've experimented with this material, and with realizing that I am an emotional being, those times when I hang on to the emotion for whatever reason, it can get so messy. I'm sure Bear would tell you, it can get really uncomfortable. And that's usually, I find, that because my mind is telling a story, because there is some narration going on. But on those times when I'm able just to, thank God, thank God for human design, that I'm able just to sit back and witness it, it passes so much quicker, and usually there isn't quite the same fallout, which is a relief to everybody. The moon is still in gate 30 since 05:48 this morning, the solar plexus gate of recognition and the clinging fire. It moves into gate 55 at 15:34, joining Venus, the solar plexus gate of abundance. So we know we've got this channel, the Earth, Venus, channel of moodiness. We've just been talking about that. And finally, the moon moves into the solar plexus gate 37, the gate of the family and friendship. This is a gate that loves touch, and it loves to make bargains, and not any old bargain, it needs to be something that's going to benefit and support the tribe. And it will seal that bargain with a handshake. loves to do all that kind of stuff, which is why working on the internet can be so interesting when you've got a gate that thrives on touch, or when you've got the 3740, like I have for a bargain, for making the bargain, because that shaking the hand, shaking on a bargain, it's a very different energy than doing it over the internet where there is no physical contact. And Ra did say some years ago now, way before we were all confined to quarters and couldn't do anything but use the internet, he said that a 3740 should never make a bargain if you can't actually physically handshake on it, because you learn so much about someone through that handshake. You learn whether or not that bargain is correct for you through the quality of that handshake, and also through, is it through the smell there? Oh no, the smell's for the 44, but it's still that tribal thing, isn't it? That you don't make a bargain with someone who is wearing a lot of heavy aftershave or perfume, because we need to have those. So some shaking hands with someone who's got gloves on is very different again from shaking someone who's got that palm to palm. Yeah, okay. As done. Be back tomorrow, top of the hexagram. Yeah, I will see you then. There's so much. There's so much I want to say, and I just love this stuff so much, and I'm so grateful to you for giving me this outlet. Or you didn't give it to me, but for indulging me in my desire, my love of sharing, my passion for sharing this work. I will see you tomorrow for the 6th line. Until then, go gently.